What if soon all our notions about passenger airplanes become outdated? At present, engineers from Airbus are working on a project capable of turning the familiar A320, once the main airliner for short and medium routes, into a museum exhibit. This is not just another step in technological development, but a true revolution, which many experts have already dubbed the fourth in aviation history. Remember how in the 50s, jet engines revolutionized the world of flight, making them significantly faster and more accessible to people. Today, we are once again on the brink of a similar transformation. The new airliner promises radical changes, a reduction in fuel consumption by almost 30%, a significant decrease in emissions, and a complete rethinking of what flights will look like in the coming decades. However, the most surprising aspect is that this aircraft is based on technologies that break the established principles of aircraft construction, unchanged for decades. What is Airbus preparing for us? And why is the entire aviation world holding its breath in anticipation of the upcoming changes? The A320 is not just an aircraft, but a true aviation legend. More than 14,000 of these planes have been sold. Airlines value it for its economy and reliability, and passengers for the comfort they have become accustomed to. It would seem, why change what already works perfectly? However, the world demands change. According to forecasts, by 2040 the number of flights will double, and minor modifications will no longer save the situation for either our planet or the airlines, which account for every ton of fuel. It is necessary not just to improve the old, but to create a new generation of airliners. When we think about the appearance of modern airplanes, it becomes noticeable that they have changed little since the 60s. A narrow fuselage, 2 wings, engines in nacelles. All this remains the same. However, Airbus intends to completely break with this tradition. Recently, the company's management announced that the new aircraft will enter operation at the end of the 2030s. At first glance, this may seem like a distant future, but in aviation it is practically the day after tomorrow, considering that aircraft development takes a decade. The innovative Airbus project promises to combine several revolutionary technologies. According to calculations, this project alone could reduce carbon dioxide emissions by 1 to 2 million tons per year once the new model becomes widespread. And we will start, of course, with the most noticeable change, the engine. Since the advent of jet aviation, engines have been built on one principle: a fan with blades enclosed in a ring and nacelle. However, Airbus wants to break this tradition by introducing the so-called open fan. Imagine a hybrid of a turbofan engine and a propeller with giant blades that are no longer hidden in a casing. This design is not just for spectacle. It overturns the concept of how an engine creates thrust. The secret lies in a metric known as the bypass ratio. Simply put, it is the ratio of air that bypasses the engine core to that which passes through it. For modern turbofan engines, this ratio is about 12 to 1. For the new open fan, it will be 60 to 1. This is where the real revolution begins. It sounds like science fiction, but Airbus, together with French and American partners, is already testing prototypes of these engines. And according to available data, they have demonstrated results exceeding even the developers' expectations. This is not a myth of the distant future, but a reality already being tested in the air. What does this bring? Up to 30% fuel savings compared to modern airplanes, fewer emissions, and most unexpectedly, less noise than current turbofans. For airlines, where fuel accounts for 25 to 40% of all expenses, such engines could completely change the economic model of flights. However, new challenges arise. These huge open fans create problems related to integration into the aircraft design. How to incorporate such innovation into the conventional architecture of an aircraft without sacrificing safety and convenience? The answer lies in other Airbus innovations. Let's start with the wings. The Wings of Tomorrow program is perhaps one of the most elegant engineering solutions of recent years. The new wings will be longer and lighter, made from composite materials. They were inspired by the albatross, a bird capable of soaring over the sea for hours without flapping its wings. Albatrosses have the highest aerodynamic quality among all birds, and Airbus decided to borrow this natural idea. Long and narrow wings will allow the aircraft to literally glide through the air, using less energy. However, this presents another problem. long wings are a headache for airports, as gates, taxiways, and parking spaces are designed for a specific wingspan. Airbus has made a real breakthrough in aviation engineering by developing a unique system of folding wingtips. Imagine, after landing, these wings lift upwards, allowing the aircraft to easily fit into standard gates, just like the popular A320 model does today. This innovative approach not only simplifies logistics, but also opens up new possibilities for optimal use of airport space. However, this is just part of the grand picture. The new wings are perfectly adapted to work with open engines, creating a unified, coordinated system. Such integration addresses the key technical challenge of maximizing flight efficiency and safety. But Airbus doesn't stop there. The fuselage of the new model will no longer be the familiar aluminum cylinder. Instead, it will be made from modern composites and thermoplastics. These materials are not only lighter and stronger, but also have a unique ability to be remelted and reused. This is not just an economic benefit, it's a step into the future where recycling becomes a key element of production. Up to 40% of the new aviation giant structure can be made from recycled or renewable resources, making the aircraft not only more efficient in the air, but also environmentally friendly during production. Interestingly, Airbus is changing not only the aircraft itself, but also the approach to its creation. Robots and artificial intelligence systems are already being actively implemented on production lines, assembling components faster and more accurately than humans. This is necessary because by the early 30s, the company plans to produce up to 40 such aircraft per month. Without automation, such a pace would be impossible. However, the revolution in air transportation doesn't stop there. Imagine an aircraft that can move from the gate to the runway and back without the involvement of dispatchers and tugs. This is the Optimate system, which will significantly reduce fuel consumption by eliminating taxiway congestion, speed up turnarounds between flights, and ensure safety at the highest level. The airport of the future will be like a well-coordinated dance of dozens of aircraft moving in perfect synchrony. Moving on to the issue of fuel, it is worth noting that modern aircraft can only use up to 50% of a blend of conventional kerosene and sustainable aviation fuel. But the new Airbus development is initially designed for 100% sustainable fuel. This will reduce carbon dioxide emissions by up to 80%. Although currently the share of such fuel in the world is only 0.7%, Airbus aims not only to create a new aircraft, but also to stimulate the entire industry towards a cleaner future. Now the most important thing, the passengers. The cabin of the newest aircraft will be noticeably quieter, thanks to engines that operate more smoothly and gently. The pressure and humidity in the cabin will become significantly closer to earthly conditions, reducing fatigue and increasing comfort. Wings inspired by albatrosses will make the flight more stable and smooth out turbulence. And perhaps the most valuable aspect is the ability to fly without the guilt of the environmental footprint that accompanies modern travel. Airbus clearly states, this is not just an improved A320, it is a new philosophy of flight. In the 1950s, jet planes changed the world, and today we stand on the brink of a similar revolution that affects not only speed and accessibility, but also environmental sustainability, technological development, and a conscious approach to our planet. These technologies will not remain confined to narrow-body liners. Sooner or later, they will be applied to all types of aircraft, from regional to long-haul. All aviation will receive a new standard. When you board an A320 today, remember that you are flying on a machine that is concluding an entire era. And in just a decade, we will see planes that will overturn our perceptions of flight. The main question remains, are you ready to embark on the future on a plane with open engines and folding wings? Think about it.